every year on the 20th of November, well, not everybody, but a lot of transgender people gather to remember the ones who have been killed in the last 12 months. And so yesterday here, because I'm recording this the day after, was the 20th of November, so today's 21st, and quite a few of us gathered at a park to, of course, commemorate those who have died in the past 12 months. And when I say died, I mean transgender people who have been murdered just for existing as who they are. And I've got my laptop open here, and I was just reading through some of the list, and it's really heartbreaking to see what happened. Like, some of them were beaten to death, some were shot, some were decapitated, sorry about that. Yeah, suffocated, shot, cause unclear, asphyxiation, shootings multiple times, stabbed, beaten, and these, well, let's see if I can find a country I recognise. Like, some of these are in Brazil, some of these are in North America, USA, sorry guys. Yeah, and, oh shit, that's a long list. That's a very long list. And all these were in the last 12 months. I'll see if I can find a grand total. It doesn't say, actually. Going down the list. Still scrolling. Still scrolling. Okay, there's a few hundred names on this long list. It's a big page. What I'll do is I'll put a link in the description box so you guys can actually go and have a look and see what it's all about if you want to. So, yesterday in this park we had, of course, trans people come up and speak to the rest of the group, either doing poetry about their life experience or there was this one lady at, well, I don't know how old exactly she was, but I'm guessing 50s, although she didn't look it. She told us about her life experience and saying that when she was young she used to wear a dress and her father would beat her up because only sissies wore dresses. And yeah, that's where it started to kind of go, hang on, that sounds very familiar. And anyway, well, except for the beatings part, I never got beaten up by my father. I think my mother came close once, but I can't remember that because I was only like about 3 or 4. And then this lady, she regaled us with the story of how, as she got older, she learned how to box, which apparently came in very handy later on, because her father abused her 2 sisters. So she went and set things straight, and this was before she transitioned, so it was like still boy mode. She regaled us with the story of how she committed suicide, or tried to commit suicide, and her wife at the time walked into the kitchen, saw the light in the shed was on, and went out there and saw her hanging, managed to cut her down and resuscitate her. So, luckily, I guess, she was unsuccessful in that opportunity. She told us about how she tried to do very masculine things to try and hide this thing that was hiding inside her. She told us that she went to work away up north, which in Australia, well, Western Australia specifically, working way up north just means that there's mine sites up north from Perth, and it's a fly-in, fly-out deal. They take you up there for 4 to 6 weeks. You work 12-hour days, whatever, how many hours a day they need you to work, then you fly back home to Perth. Or if you live interstate, you fly back interstate to wherever you live. So anyway, she tried doing that for a while, and of course, didn't work. So she also had cancer. She one time had a suicide kit in the back of her car. And it was like, oh my god, this is kind of familiar, but not as extreme as what I went through myself. Which I'll get to in a minute, if I can. So she told us about her life story and how being transgender, or trying to be male and not listen to the female side of her, which was screaming to be let out, that it was actually affecting her life. It affected her marriage. It affected all her relationships. She even lost, broke up with somebody because they found her bra, thinking that, oh shit, he's having an affair. No, he wasn't having an affair. That was his bra, not somebody else's. So of course, relationship ended. And so I think it was about 5 years ago, maybe, that she finally spoke to her kids and said, look, I can't do this anymore. This is who I am. And they said, pretty much, we've known for a long time. It's like, son of a bitch. So she then proceeded to have, go on HRT like the rest of us do and all that sort of thing. And she's been working. She's changed, locations that she works at. She told us about how 5-year-old kids were more cluey about sex change and what she wanted and all this other thing than most adults. Go figure. Some adults don't even get... This is a reality. It's not a game. It's not a fetish. It's not playing dress up. It's actually... you have to... It's like... It's expressing your own personality. It's like being... wanting to be goth, for example, but not having or being able to express that individuality. So this lady, she's been through it all. She's a grandparent now, and she regaled us with the stories of she had the surgery down there. She had her girls put in, and it was like, oh my god, I hate you so much. One day. And now she's happy as a person. She said she actually found love, and that love was herself. And it's like, oh, so that's what I'm missing. I can't figure that one out yet. So it must be the same thing. Anyway, it didn't hit me then as to what she was saying. It hit me later when I was talking to a friend that it kind of, reminded me of the dumb shit that I actually got up to when before I started transition. I was trying to come to terms with who I was. Because I didn't understand it. I was trying to go, no, it's only this, it's not that, it can't be that, it's never that. That is too extreme. I can't live through that life because list happens and I don't want to be a statistic on that list. And so anyway, the dumb shit that I actually tried was one time I had enough. I tried to cut my wrist with a pair of scissors, and lucky for me that didn't even work. Also lucky for me there was people that I could talk to at the time, because I had enough at that point. I didn't want to be, I didn't want this struggle to continue. And then I can't remember the timing of it, but it must have been either months or around the same year or something that I actually one time drove to a car park with a whole handful of scalpel blades, and I was gonna try and let the blood run free, so to speak, and try not to think about anything else at that point. But again, something inside me, I guess, kind of said, no, don't be a dumb shit. You can get through this. Well, it's either that or I was scared shitless because it was a dark car park. Ugh, yeah. But it did hurt a bit, but didn't leave any visual markings. But for me, it was a kind of a cry for attention. Not the throwing a tantrum type attention, but the attention I needed to actually have someone see me as this and not as the past. But that never happened. Few years later, I ended up managing to get to see the correct people, the psychiatrist that I needed to see, and all that. And then by 2005, I actually started transition, so that's when I noticed things were getting slightly better. Unfortunately, the place I worked at was really dodgy, and so I wasn't actually earning real money. And the house I was living in, I had a housemate at the time. She moved out, which was fine. She had a partner at the time. So I stayed in the house, and I was paying the rent. Most days, that's all I could pay. Food, and that was like, yeah, no, that wasn't going to happen. Then got in another housemate, then he moved out, then got in another housemate, she disappeared, and came back the day that I had to move out because I couldn't afford the rent anymore. Yay! But, well, obviously now I'm in, well, Wood Panelsville, which is quite stable, and I'm happy for that fact. Over the past 10 years, I've actually had a stable job, so the dumb shit that I did in the way past is no longer, well, something that I'll even consider. Which is a good thing, because I really miss a lot of you guys, especially the ones that comment. Hint. Because I've met some wonderful people through this medium, which is great. But the Transgender Day of Remembrance is kind of... It's only once a year, but it does kind of hit me every now and again. Especially after seeing how some of these people were treated. And, you know, how they were left and that sort of thing. It's not... Yeah, it's not good. Definitely not something I want to have happen to me. And luckily, there has only been suicides in Australia. There hasn't been murders of transgender people in Australia, which is kind of good news. Sort of, maybe. I don't know. Help. So, again, as I said, I'll leave the link below in the description box if you're curious and want to have a look. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe, because it helps me build my channel and know what to do next and that sort of thing. And if you have any questions, comment below. Thank you for watching.